Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon session will probably last about 30 minutes. We're going to be talking about Special Provision 2. Why should I do Special Provision 2? And if I do Special Provision 2, what do I do? So let's get started. So, Special Provision 2. It's a 4-year program. In Special Provision 2, you only collect applications in the first year, or what is called the base year. So after that, years 2, 3, and 4, you don't collect applications. Yes, you've got new kids coming in. Some kids moved on, some kids are coming into kindergarten. You still do not collect applications from anybody after the base year. The base year, you'll be claiming meals the way you normally would. Tommy ate, Betty ate, Susie ate. Years 2 through 4, you're going to claim meals based on a percentage of the number of meals you served by category. And we'll talk about that a little bit further into the presentation. We'll get more in depth. Special Provision 2, why? Well, I don't qualify for community eligibility. We had that presentation on Tuesday. The recording of the webinar and the PowerPoint is posted on our website, so you can review those. For Special Provision 2, saves time because, as I said, you're only collecting applications in the base year. Your meal accounting can be just like you're doing now. Maybe you're using a tick sheet, a clicker. Can you use electronic system? Yes, you can. But you don't have to. You can use a tick sheet because that's how you're going to claim the meals, by the number of meals served by breakfast and lunch. And since for the next moving forward, the state's paying the difference between free and paid meals, the more we can do, the better we can do with getting kids enrolled and eligible. There's potential to save the state money and use as much federal money as we can. The first step is to decide if you want to do this program. If the district decides to do that program, either district-wide or some of the schools, the superintendent must send an email to me, david.hartley@maine.gov, expressing that they're interested in participating in this program. Needs to include what schools will be participating. We will fill it out. We'll send it back to the superintendent to sign. Superintendent will send it back. Walter, the director, will sign it, whoever's the director at the time. We'll send you back a copy. And this process will be done again at the end of the base year. And we'll talk about what that will include when we get there. If you're participating in a special provision, Provision 2, you must do a media release. You must tell your town, your community about this program, and there's a sample of the media release on our webpage. Schools, nutrition programs, NSLP, special provisions, and you'll see that sample copy there. You must maintain a copy of that media release. The media may not publish it, but we know that you've sent it. You can tell us that you've sent it. You can show us that you sent it. We're good to go. Another first step, the LEA agrees to update and amend its free and reduced price policy, because even though you're not doing it anyway, because this is a federal program, you have to agree not to charge the students, reduce students, and paid students for that price difference. So you have to update the policy statement, which basically is that form that the superintendent is going to sign that talks about not charging meals. All right, the base year, the very first year you're doing this. So schools that are participating in Special Provision 2, beginning in school year 2023, it's going to be what used to be a normal year. You collect applications, the student's 30-day carryover applies, you get the applications, you approve the applications, you send notices to the families of their eligibility. Yes, it doesn't really matter because of what the state is doing. It's a federal program. This is a requirement, so these steps must be followed. Because you're collecting applications, you're going to complete a normal verification process. When you complete your October survey, you've collected applications, so you'll submit that survey based on those approved returned application. When you're doing your monthly claim, as I mentioned, you're going to claim based on the status of the child that ate. David Hartley is free. I ate, you're going to claim me as free. So every child that eats for the base year is accounted for by student name and student meal because you're going to be claiming them based on their approved category. Now, this past year, there's been a lot of difficulty in the past couple of years in collecting child nutrition applications because, well, the kids are eating at no charge. The families don't have to pay for the meals. Some documents have been prepared to help submit to the families to help them know why they need to fill out that application, even though their children eat breakfast and lunch at school at no charge to them. There's other grants, there's other benefits, there's taxes, things like this that are all based on the child nutrition meal benefit application. There's a web page where we have that toolkit. Use it. Help to get as many applications as you can. Let families know that there's so much more money that you receive based on this data than the school lunch program supplies. All right, it's the base year. You're in CNP Web, you're completing your annual agreement. In the sponsor info sheet, you're going to select for verification basic, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a normal year. You've collected applications, you're going to process the verification process. You're going to do basic, which is considered error prone. So this is a base year verification, normal process. October survey, as I mentioned, it's a normal year. You're going to complete it based on the enrolled students' applications you received and their category of approval as of October 31st. That's the base year. After the base year, determining claiming after the base year, years 2 through 4. After the base year is completed, CNP Web will determine the annual claiming percentage of free, reduced, and paid meals served by both breakfast and lunch, and this will be calculated separately. CNP Web will take all the meals served for the year, free, reduced, paid lunch, determine the percentage that ate, and that is the percentage the CNP Web will use in years 2, 3, and 4 to determine your reimbursement. Because you're going to do in CNP Web in years 2, 3, and 4 the same thing you're doing now. I served 1,000 meals. You're going to put in CNP Web that you served 1,000 meals. The program will then determine what percentage of those are free, reduced, and paid based on its calculation from the base year. After CNP Web makes this calculation, a report will be generated. We'll see what those claiming percentages are for both breakfast and lunch. Another agreement will be signed by the superintendent that has these claiming percentages so that you know that this is what's happening. That form will be signed and returned by the superintendent. Child nutrition director will sign it, save it, keep a copy. Anytime you're doing any program with a special provision, these agreements, documentation is all saved. And normally we say you're saving it 3 years plus the current. So if you're doing special provision 2, the applications you save, you collect in the first year, you're saving for the 4 years that you're in the program, but then you're also saving them for 3 more years. That 4 years is actually part of your 3 years plus the current. It's only 1 year of those 3 years plus the current. So those applications you're going to keep for, well, 7 years. So here's an example. The base year, the school served 3,659 free lunches, 5,340 reduced lunch, 17,488 paid lunches. That totals 58,987. So the number of free meals served through to 6,159 is divided by the total meals served, 58,987. So 61.3% of the lunches served in the base year will be claimed as free for the next 3 years. CNP Web will be calculating this to 1 decimal place. And you need to keep this in mind because we're going to talk about it later. You'll be using these figures for information later. So CNP Web's going to take this, and if you were doing it manually, you would do the same thing. And this is how you would determine the claiming percentages from the base year. Breakfast and lunch will each have a different claiming percentage. All right, we've got the base year, it's done. All the contracts have been signed. Let's move along. All right, as I mentioned earlier, years 2 through 4, do not, I cannot say this enough, do not collect applications. If you collect applications and we learn about it, that tells us you're doing a new base year. So that means you're going to collect applications from everybody. You're going to do normal verification, all this happy stuff, which you've already agreed to that you're not going to do. So after the base year, go to all the secretaries, collect all the applications. You keep them, whatever reason. Don't have anybody send out new applications. Just like now, each day, you're going to keep a report, tick sheets, or whatever method you decide to use, of the number of meals served every day, breakfast and lunch. At the end of the month, you're going to enter into CNP Web the total number of breakfast, the total number of lunches served, and then CNP Web will calculate your reimbursement. CNP Web will use the claiming percentages determined from the base year. To do that, you'll get your reimbursement based on that information. So you're only going to submit into CNP Web each month 2 figures: total lunches served, total breakfast served. Years 2, 3, and 4, you didn't collect applications, so you don't complete verification. You have nothing to verify. If you're doing special provision for some reason, you're not doing it district-wide, and the high school's not doing special provision 2. They're collecting applications every year. So you would do verification for the high school if they are not participating in the special provision. If you are doing a special provision district-wide, provision 2, you're not collecting applications, so you're not going to do verification. Your October survey, you're going to use the number, that percentage of free and reduced claiming percentage to determine free, reduced, and paid claiming percentage to determine your October survey figures. We'll talk about that momentarily. All right, Years 2, 3, and 4, you're filling out your site form. Well, actually, from the very beginning, you're filling out your site form in CNP Web. For the lunch program, line 38, you're going to say you're using provision 2. Line 40, you're going to put in 2023 because that's your base year. Line 41, lunch is a non-pricing program because you're not charging the kids. The kids are eating at no cost. They're not eating for free, they're eating at no cost. Breakfast is going to be filled out the same way. Line 46, provision 2. Line 48, the year that you're starting. And then line 49 would be non-pricing as well. The site info sheet to be completed this way for each school within the district participating in special provision 2. The rest of the form is completed normally. All right, sponsor information sheet. This is the sponsor because verification is based on the district. The individual schools participating in a provision is an individual site. Verification is for the district. Remember, we're non-base year, so you're not going to complete verification. So each year, when you get to line 33, you're going to check the box, no verification required. As I mentioned earlier, however, if you have schools not participating in special provision, then you're going to check basic because those schools will have to complete the verification process. October survey, non-base year. So these are the percentages that we had from our information on the prior screen. The base year, 61.3% of the kids that ate as free for lunch. Reduced, 9.1, paid, 29.6. October survey, year 2. Beasley School has 354 kids. So the 354 multiplied by the lunch claiming percentage gives you the number of free eligible students. Enrollment for reduced based on the reduced claiming percentage, that's your number of reduced students, and then paid, the paid claiming percentage. Make sure you check your math, make sure it's working correctly. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to use the one, I messed up, I have 9.1 and 9.4. My apologies, I didn't check this well enough. Anyway, moving on, 9.1. So make sure you check it and you're doing it right. This was a test to see if anyone caught that. All right, what's the financial effect of my district if I participate in provision 2? There isn't any. Because I mentioned earlier, the state of Maine will be picking up the difference from the free federal reimbursement and the paid federal reimbursement. So, USDA reimbursement for free meals is $3.73. Maine's not going to pay anything because that's the free reimbursement. USDA reduced reimbursement is $3.33. Maine is going to and has been picking up the 40 cents. But now, excuse me, and we're talking about lunch figures. USDA reimbursement for a paid meal is 42 cents. So the state of Maine is going to be reimbursing you for $3.31, the difference between federal paid and federal free reimbursement. Thereby, there is no financial impact on the district as far as the reimbursement and the different amounts. All right. During an administrative review, we look at applications. Your provision 2, we're going to come in, we're going to review your applications. If we're doing your application review after your base year and we find application errors, The correction is going to go back to the beginning of the base year so that the claiming percentages can be corrected. Any reimbursement errors will be a responsibility for the district. So make sure when you're approving your applications in your base year, you're being overly careful to make sure that they're being approved correctly. Because we come to do a review in year 2, there's 5, 10 application errors. We have to go back to the base year when that application was approved to correct the claiming percentage. As I mentioned earlier, maintain all your documentations for 4 years that the program is operating, plus 3 years. As we talk about normally, you're keeping for 3 years plus the current. So now you're keeping for 4 years plus 3 years, or 7 years. But you're only saving applications for 1 year instead of 4 years. So there's not a heck of a lot of difference. Lots more information on our webpage about information for this. If you go to the Programs tab, then click National School Lunch. One of your first options when you scroll down is Special Provisions. That will take you to another tab that has various answers for you to hopefully get answers to your questions. If it doesn't, you can contact our office. You can contact any of the reviewers for questions on Provision 2. If they don't have an answer, they'll ask me, and we'll get the answer for you. Now, I'm at the end of this wonderful little webinar. However, we come to the point where we allow you to ask questions. So now I refer to Ms. Paula. Do we have questions?
We do.
We do have questions.
Are the claiming percentages based on each month or for the entire year?
Annual claiming percentage. The total free lunches, total free reduced lunches, total paid lunches for the year will be used to calculate your annual claiming percentage.
We accept online applications through our POS system. If we go to Special Provisions 2, do we shut this off so we can't receive any online apps in years 2 to 4? What if someone slips an app under my door?
If you have a program with an online application, then yeah, you're going to shut that down because you cannot collect applications. If someone slips an application under your door, track them down and give it back to them. You cannot collect applications. You have NutriKids, whatever the programs are, you have agreement to use their online application. After your base year, turn that option off.
In years 2 to 4, do we look at the direct cert list?
You can still look at the direct cert list and use that information for other programs. Because what a lot of schools will need to do is to look at the alternate economic status form. So you can use the information from the direct cert list to help with these other programs. You do not change because at years 2 through 4, none of the students in your program technically have a meal benefit status because you're claiming based on percentage. The direct cert list can be used to assist other programs.
After the first year, as new students come in, it sounds like they will come in, their eligibility will not have any effect on our percentage, if I'm understanding this correctly. The same will hold true for directly certified students. Will it matter if our numbers change there either? Is there any loophole for a situation where a mill closes down or something drastic happens in a community?
If you get new students, so kids have moved on, you've got a brand new group of K kids, you're not collecting applications because those students technically for our program don't have a status, because remember, for years 2, 3, and 4, you're claiming based on the percentages from the first year. So you don't collect applications. Like I said, you go around to everybody that has applications to send out in the new year, and you take them. Give me your unused applications. You cannot use those. Give them to me. Don't tell them to throw away. Collect them. Okay, I'll send an email. I'll throw them away. Next year, you get an application. Collect them. The mill closes. So next year, 2024, you're in year 2. You're doing your claiming percentages. The mill closes. So in 2025, you do applications and you start a new base year. You can start a new base year at any time, but that means you're collecting applications from everyone. You're doing meal accountability by student status. You're doing verification. So unless something drastic happens like the mill or the base or the whatever closing, don't update, don't change, don't decide to do it new. Because like I said, if you collect applications, you collect some applications, no, it's not going to have an effect. Guess what? It's too late. You're collecting applications, you're starting a new base year.
So in our SIS, this one is Power School, the economic status won't change for 2 to 4 years?
For our program, correct. When you collect applications in the base year, that status of that child does not change. If they want current data, the district would have to collect the alternate economic status form. Looks like we don't have any more questions. We're going to give it a second. Someone typing or not saying anything? It looks like we're good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. As always, this webinar will be posted on our website. The PowerPoint as a PDF will be posted on our website. If you have any questions once we're done, send them in. We'll get answers back out to you. Any more come in, or are we done? Going once? Going twice? I thank you for your time. Have a good rest of the day.